Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. So if you've been keeping up to date with your WoW heads and your MMO champions and your Icy Veins and your favorite YouTuber, then you'll probably already kind of be up to date on how the weekly cache is going to be working in Shadowlands. But I know that initially it is a little bit confusing, so I thought I'd make a little quick video to just show snippets of how this is actually going to be functioning day to day and how it's looking currently on beta up to date. So currently in BFA, you'll know you do your PvP weekly conquest cap, and you get your rating, and you get a piece of loot from your weekly cache for PvP, and then you go and you do your weekly dungeon, and you get a piece of mythic loot, right? And that item is based on the highest level of key that you've done and the highest rating that you've achieved that week in PvP, right? And there's no weekly loot for raiding. You just kind of go to the raid, and if you don't raid, then you don't get loot. Unlucky. Right now, how is it going to be working in Shadowlands? So, in Shadowlands, you're actually still only going to get one piece of loot to choose from. And actually, it's kind of a little bit of a nerf in terms of overall loot, because you're no longer going to get a Mythic Plus and a PvP piece of loot. You're just going to get one piece of loot total. So it is a little bit of nerf in terms of how much loot you get. But I know Blizzard across the game is trying to reduce the amount of loot that you're getting, because there's no Titan forging, no war forging, there's no corruption, there's nothing like that to kind of inflate the amount of gear and amount of drops that you need. So right now in a dungeon, you only get one piece of loot if you do the dungeon, and one additional piece of loot if you time that dungeon. So maximum you get 2 pieces of loot, plus any conduits or legendary patterns that you might have, right? So they are definitely trying to kind of diminish that a little bit. But moving on to Shadowlands then. So you're now going to have, so if you come to Arbos and you come into the Hall of Holding, then you'll be coming up to this big great vault, which unfortunately isn't as cool as I thought it was going to be. I heard stories of this that you could like run inside and it was like opened up and you could like, you know, get into the vault and everything, and I was expecting some big golden room full of treasures and loot and kind of like some Aladdin scene, right? And unfortunately, it's not that. It's just a thing that you click on. So it's a little bit underwhelming. And I've seen, unfortunately, I don't have it to show here, but you like click on this and you just, your loot for the week just shows up. Like, it just is there. There's no like reveal system. I thought it would be really, really cool if they made it so that like it was like a Hearthstone opening. So if you played Hearthstone and you open up a pack of cards, all of the cards, you get 5 in a pack, they're all turned away from you. And you kind of like, I don't know if you used to have like Yu-Gi-Oh as a kid, you'd like get the pack and you'd like turn it face down and then you'd like pick them up one at a time to see what they were and just kind of build and live in that suspense. And yeah, I thought it would be really cool if they did a Hearthstone kind of reveal. You know, you can like hover over them, see kind of, you know, if they were like legendary or epic or whatever in Hearthstone, but they'd kind of shake and they'd glow, and it was just like you'd flip them and it was some like big display, and it was just really cool. And I think that they should do that with this system, just so it's not just so like, oh, there it is, right? It would just be cooler. But anyway, how is it going to work? So you are potentially going to have, if you do all of the content required, you're going to have 9 pieces of loot to choose from. Now that is to choose from. You're still only ultimately going to get 1 piece of loot that you take away each week. However, if you want raid-based loot, then you do the raid. If you want Mythic Plus based loot, then you do Mythic Plus. And if you want PvP based loot, then you do PvP. Right now, it's a little bit bugged on how much PvP you need to do. I don't think 87,000 conquest points per week is a realistic amount, unless they dramatically increase how much conquest you get per game. Maybe if you get like 10,000 conquest per game, maybe this is more realistic. Anyway, how's it going to work then? So if you do the bare minimum, let's say you just do 1 Mythic Plus key and you do 3 raid bosses, right? And you call it a day. Well, you're still going to get 2 pieces of loot to choose from, right? So there's no way that this system is bad. I know initially this said like you have to do 15 dungeons, and a lot of people went, well, I don't want to do 15 dungeons. That's ridiculous. Well, you don't have to, right? You only have to do 1. If you want more choices, more selection, more options, then go and do that additional content. But if you don't want more options, if you don't want to do the content, then you don't get more options. That's it. There's no negative to this, right? So I'll be, oh, well, I'm not going to no life it. Well, that's fine. You don't have to. Like, you just don't get as many options, which is reasonable. You still ultimately only get 1 piece of loot, and if you want to work harder, you want to put more effort in, then you get rewarded for it more, I guess, in a sense. So this is going to be really cool, because I think it's great that you're going to be able to get raid loot now. But the way the system's going to kind of work is if you do, I know initially people thought, oh, well, I'm not going to help my friend in a weekly key because there's no point, like, I'm going to lose loot or I'm going to get weak loot now, right? If you do 3 dungeons at a plus 10 level, which is probably going to be the maximum I'm level loot drop that happens in the season 1, right? Right now it's a 15 key on live, but it's probably going to be a 10 key in season 1. Let's say you do 1 10 key. Let's say you do 3 10 keys, right? And then your 4th dungeon is a plus 2 key, right? You help out Billy. Billy needs a hand, right? You do a plus 2 key. And then you go and do another plus 10 key. Now that doesn't mean that your loot is going to be 1 item from a plus 10 and 1 item from a plus 2, because your 4th key was a plus 2. If you've done, like, it'll take your highest keys that you've done that week, right? And same with raiding. If you go and do 3 mythic bosses and then you go and do 7 heroic bosses, you now have 1 mythic piece of loot to choose from because you did 3 mythic bosses. And because you hit the factor of doing 7 bosses total on heroic, then you're going to get 1 piece of heroic loot to choose from, right? So you now are still incentivized to go and do lower keys if you want to help a friend, if you want to, take part and help a dude, but you don't, and you want to go and do your boosting on I don't know, what's a good boosting society? Oh, I don't know, Gallywix perhaps? Then you can. But you're still going to get that loot that you earned from doing a bunch of high-level keys, right? So there's no reason to never help your friend, I guess, and that's cool, and that's great. It'll just take your highest level key always. That's a little insight into like how the system's going to be working. Again, I think it could be worth a little bit of a jazzing up a little bit. It could look a little bit more snazzy on the UI scale of things, but so far, pretty cool system. I'm happy with it. I think it's great that you're still getting a piece of loot and you're just getting a lot more options to choose from now. And if you're really not happy with any of the loot, let's say you do all 9 of these and you're not happy with any of them, well, then you're still going to be able to choose like a currency. Who knows what it's going to be? Maybe gold, maybe like soul ash, maybe like herbs and skins or something for professions. Maybe some flasks in there or something. It's like a little like weekly like gubbins thing, and it's got some like extra supplies to help you through the week of pushing or something like that. But hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully you learned a little bit from it, and hopefully it kind of made things less confusing for you if you were a little bit unsure of how this was going to work. For now, please make sure to check me out on twitch.tv. Give the channel a follow on YouTube or whatever, and check out the merch or something and whatever shilly thing else that you want to do. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.